Hi, and welcome to the MySG Prop podcast, where we explore smart property investing and uncover insights from Singapore to the region. I am Rainey, and joining me is CS. Today is May 8th, 2026, and oh boy, we have some absolute bombshell news to dive into today.
Hi, Rainey. Yeah, bombshell is probably the right word. We are talking about the latest executive condominium cooling measures. It is a massive shift in policy, and for some people, it is going to be a real game changer, while for others, well, it is a bit of a wake-up call.
I mean, I saw the headlines and my jaw just dropped. We are talking about the minimum occupation period, the MOP, doubling from 5 years to 10 years. CS, tell me I am dreaming. 10 years? That is a whole decade of staying in one place before you can even think about selling or renting out the whole unit.
You are not dreaming, unfortunately. It is real. The Ministry of National Development just announced it. If you buy a new EC now, you are locked in for 10 years. And it does not stop there. The timeline for full privatization has also been pushed back from 10 years to 15 years.
Wait, so let me get this straight. You stay there for 10 years before you can sell it to another Singaporean or PR, and then you have to wait until year 15 before you can sell it to anyone, including foreigners? That is a long time to commit. Why on earth would they do this?
Well, if you look at the market pulse, the data tells the story. From 2021 to 2025, about 75% of ECs on the open market were sold within just 5 years after their MOP. It was becoming less about owning a home and more about a quick flip for profit. The government wants to pivot ECs back to their original purpose, which is meeting the occupation needs of homeowners, not serving as a stepping stone for speculators.
Right. So it is basically a move to kill the flipping culture. But what about the people actually trying to buy their first home? Does this help them, or just make things harder?
For first-timers, it is actually great news. The quota for first-timer families is being bumped up from 70% to 90%, and the priority period is being extended to 2 years. So if you are a first-timer, your chances of actually securing a unit are now way higher.
Okay, 90% is huge. But that means the second-timers are getting the short end of the stick, right?
Exactly. Second-timers are now in a much tougher spot. Previously, once the first-timer quota was hit, developers could sell the balance to second-timers after just 1 month. Now, they have to wait 2 years. 2 years! By that time, most of the good units might be gone, or the price might have moved.
Ouch. That is a brutal blow for those looking to upgrade. And wait, I also saw something about the payment schemes. Something about the DPS?
Right. The Deferred Payment Scheme, or DPS, that is gone, completely scrapped for ECs. Before this, you could pay 20% upfront and the rest when the project got its temporary occupation permit. It was a popular move for people who wanted to manage their cash flow, even though they usually paid a 2 to 3% premium for the privilege. Now everyone has to use the normal payment scheme, which means progressive payments based on the construction milestones.
So essentially, you need much stronger cash flow and better financial planning now. You cannot just kick the can down the road. Speaking of money, I was looking at some of the prices. CS, are these things actually affordable anymore?
That is the million-dollar question. Let us look at the stats. From January to April this year, the median price per square foot for new ECs was $1,843. Now, compare that to 2016, where it was only $782. It has more than doubled in a decade.
1,843? That is insane. So if I am looking at a standard 4-room unit, say 1,000 square feet,
you are looking at nearly $1,850,000. Just for a starter EC. Look at Revel Tampines, which launched recently. It sold over 92% of its units on day one, with an average price of $1,893 per square foot. The second-timer quota was completely wiped out by 2:15 in the afternoon. People are desperate.
It sounds like a total frenzy. But wait, you mentioned something earlier about a last chance. Please tell me there is a loophole or some kind of grace period?
There is, and this is where the strategy comes in. There are 5 upcoming EC projects that are not subject to these new measures because their tenders closed between August 2025 and April 2026. We are talking about projects at Senja Close, Sembawang Road, Miltonia Close, and 2 projects at Woodlands Drive 17.
Wait, so if I buy into those 5, I still get the 5-year MOP and the old rules?
Precisely, which is why we are expecting a super strong take-up rate for those specific launches. It is literally the last window to enter the EC market under the old, more flexible terms.
Wow, so it is basically a race now. But let us step back. If I am a second-timer or an investor, and the EC door is basically closing or becoming way too restrictive, where do I even go?
That is where the market shifts. We will likely see second-timers moving toward resale condos or new private launches instead. The EC market is becoming a protected space for first-timers. Professor Sing-Tien Fu from NUS mentioned that these rules should help stabilize the market over the next 3 to 5 years. By curbing the speculation, we might not see those sharp, scary price spikes, provided the economy stays stable.
So, in a nutshell, if you are a first-timer, the government just gave you a massive boost. If you are a second-timer, you are basically being told to look elsewhere or wait a long time. And if you are a flipper, well, the party is over.
That is a pretty accurate summary. Timing and strategy are now more important than ever. You cannot just buy and hope for the best anymore. You need a real plan.
Man, the property market in Singapore never ceases to surprise me. One day you are planning an upgrade, the next day the rules change, and you are back to the drawing board.
That is just the nature of the game here. It is all about adapting quickly.
Well, that is all for today's podcast from my SG Prop. I hope you picked up something useful for your next property move. If you are feeling overwhelmed by these changes, don't worry, you can always reach out to us. We can help you analyze how this affects EC prices, identify which of those 5 upcoming launches might be the best fit for you, or find alternative options if you are a second-timer or an investor.
Definitely. Don't make these big decisions in a vacuum. Get the data first.
Exactly. Don't forget to follow or share this episode with someone who is into real estate too. More insights and new launch updates await you at my-s-g-prop.com. Catch you next time.